Alright, thank you for coming back. In this second video of the beginner tutorial to Overte, we are going to take a look at the very awesome feature, which is to create objects, or it's called entities, inside the Overte context. This allows you to populate the world with interesting objects, and let's take a look at how this works before we dig into how to host your own domain. First, the main interface for doing this is the Create app. So you can click Create. That will bring up the Create app. The two main interface is the Entity List, which lists everything in the current world and allows you to select them right here. The second one is the tools that allows you to create different entity types. There are those few types. The model represent arbitrary geometry. The shape are the primitives like box, sphere, those kind of things. Light are the light sources that can, light things up. And text are text. Image. Web refers to you can actually open a website, and the maximum limit is 20 per domain right now, and you can show the web page directly inside the world as an image. The zone is specifically for controlling dedicated environments. I'm going to show you an example in the sample map. The particles allows you to have particle effects, and here I think I have a particle effect right there. Oh, actually I don't have a particle effect right here, but the particle effect referring to showing a lot of repeated stuff. Like if we do a particle here, you can see that is what we call a particle effect. So everything is represented as a point, and you can change its dynamics, rotation to create interesting effects. This can be used for things like smoke, fire, those kind of dynamic effects. And you can also create a material and sound. One other very interesting feature is the Voxel feature, which allows you to kind of edit the world like in Minecraft. And this is a very flexible system. The only thing that's missing right now, by the way, the version we are using is 2025, September 1st. The only thing that's missing right now, in my opinion, is a height map terrain. So right now you cannot just sculpt your own terrain. You have to import it from external sources. I think that's something that would be very nice to have. So that's the asset type. Let me briefly introduce the zone. So if you go to the map, let me go to places and let me search. Okay, I don't need to search. The first one is the Overte hub. If you go to the Overte hub, and you can see this place.
What are you talking about? I love those moments.
And you can see there's a small boat here.
The last time it happened,
if you click this one,
Discord server,
you can see the lighting is changed. Right? So
that
is achieved using a zoom. Right, let me go back here.
And just respond. I keep hearing you talk.
People
what
are chatting
the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Okay. So back here, let's take a look at how we can create stuff. So let's take a look at the available properties. Here, let's create a simple shape. From here, we can see we have already created a shape right here, and that's a shape. You can translate it, you can scale it, you can also rotate it, right? So that's a simple shape. You can go to, so that's the entity tab. The entity tab allows you to provide some names, descriptions, those kind of general information. Let's say my shape, and if you save it, you can say it should update somewhere here. No, it's not updating. That's surprising. Anyway, if you go to shape, you can see you have a whole bunch of shapes. I suppose there are more shapes here, but the UI doesn't allow me to select it. So those are the ones you have out of the box. A tetrahedron, I don't even know what is that thing. And then there's a hexagon, and you have triangle, just a triangle shape, and you have cylinder. So this is the one thing that I think it's missing. It would be very nice if they have a primitive stair. That is something that comes out of the box in Unreal Engine and also in Second Life, and I think that's going to be very handy if we have a stair, right? But basically, even just with the box, you can already do some prototyping with it, and it's very handy. very convenient to do stuff with this, and you can see immediately I can work on top of it. This is absolutely crazy and amazing, right? Okay, so that's the basic shape, the primitive properties, and then you can change the spatial properties. You can drag to modify it, and you can change the scale, this kind of stuff. And then the behavior, you can control things like cast shadow and some other stuff. The grab and the equip, this is more advanced, and basically that allows you to allow more. It's more interesting when you integrate with scripted behaviors, which we'll talk about in another video. And then you can specify condition. If you don't let it collide, the people will be able to work through it. So that's a collide. If you want interesting physics, you can turn on the dynamic toggle. After you turn on the dynamic toggle, at first it's not going to do anything, but if you go to the physics tab, you can start to tune those parameters. Right now, the object is not affected by gravity because we haven't turned on gravity. But if you turn this to 98, you can see it goes up. If you go to negative 98, it's going to be affected by gravity. Oh, hopefully it will come back, or it will not come back. Okay, it's there. I don't know. I think it's going to drop very soon, or it's out of the context, so it's never going to come back. Let me just turn it back and change the position to a place we can find here. Okay, where is it? Where is my object? Come on. Okay, anyway, cannot find it. Let me just create another one. So let me create a cube right here, right? Make it bigger, and then we can turn on the dynamics and let it fall negative 98 and falls down to the ground, right? So as you can see, it's kind of like shaking right here. It's because there's no damping. So damping refers to, it's kind of a way to model friction. So if you turn on the damping, let's say give it 10, it's going to gradually settle, right? So that's the way it works. But even without physics, you can also have interesting stuff. So for instance, we can give it an angular velocity. Let's gradually turn around like this, right? And then if you will make it bigger and make it thinner, and too thin, make it thinner and make it wider, so we already have a rotating platform that people can stand on, right? So as you can see, if you give it a little bit linear velocity, or maybe a bit more linear velocity, you already have a kind of moving platform, right? So that is some effects you can achieve even without physics. Let me just remove the rotation so it doesn't do anything. So that is the basic properties of an entity, and you can find a list of all the entities you have here, and you can see there are different types. Briefly about the light entity. So I have a light here. Light entity allows you to basically create additional lighting effect, and you can or make it a spotlight. So that's or change its color. So those are the basic properties of it. As you can see here, the light is flickering, right? This is achieved by using a script, which we will talk about in another video. So here you can see if we go to the scripts behavior, we have a server script attached to the light, and that is how you can have those dynamic programmable behaviors on the objects. So that is so let's do a voxel object here, and it, open it again, and click on the voxel, right? And here you can see there are a few different material presets. I'm just going to pick a very basic one, and then you can do a initial shape is a box. That sounds good to me. Create it, and now we have a huge chunk of ground right here. You can move it up a bit. Oh, that's our voxel here, right? To edit this one, you can go to tools, and right now you are in object mode. Object mode allows you to transform the object. You can change to the voxel edit mode, and you can select whether you edit either a single voxel or using sphere, those kind of brushes. So if you just click, you can see we are extending it. Click it again, you are extending it a bit more. So if we fly, you can, so if we use a sphere, make it something bigger, you can see, oh, that's too big. But if we do smaller, you can see we can start to sculpt this guy. I think I'm hitting the boundary of this. So, but if you go here, you can, make it like that. A very interesting thing with voxels is you can create caves. So if I do middle mouse button, let me make it smaller. If I do middle mouse button, I can start removing dirt, right? Let me make it bigger. And then that can create a hole, and I can walk through the hole. So as you can see, this is a very flexible system to allow you to very quickly create structures or prototype your level. After you are done with it, you can go to the materials tab. Let me go to the object mode and select my voxel. And if you go to the voxel, you can change the volume size to give it more size. And I think there's a place you can set the material somewhere. Oh yeah, surface type. Okay, so you can set a surface type. There are different algorithms that can compute. Oh, this one looks a bit weird. Margin cube is okay. This one looks best. I don't know specifics about others for now. You can see the texture preset. You can change the texture type: bricks, stone, concrete, and I actually like this one. This one's very nice. So that is the basics of a voxel editing. Now, when you create a voxel, sometimes you may notice you can go past it, which may look, out of the world. What you can do is go to condition, go to behavior. Let me see, where is it? Condition, and turn on collides. And with that, the actor will not be able to walk past it. So that's the basics of voxels. Yeah, I think with this video, we have seen the majority of basic types. The model one is a little bit tricky. I'm going to talk about it in a separate video. But with this, you can now create basic shapes, light, and zoom, and even voxels to prototype your own environments. Great. See you in the next video.